mental disorder, a disease, a compulsive disorder, or an addiction. I don't believe an eating disorder is any of those things. In fact, I think it's something else. I think it's a choice. That might sound controversial, and I know that probably offends some people, but just listen to my case here. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video, and check out some of my free resources below. So our brains at any one time are constantly assessing the landscape, constantly assessing the environment. What should I do right now? You could be doing an infinite number of things right now, but you're choosing to watch this video, and I'm choosing to make this video. I have 500 books in my book queue, so I have to select which one is the best one to read at this time. What should I have for breakfast this morning? Who should I interact with? Which restaurant should I go to? Should I check my email or should I not? We're always making assessments, always making choices. And if you have an eating disorder, you always have the option to eat or to not eat. You have the option to purge or to not purge. You have the option to eat this food or something else. We're constantly weighing those options and constantly considering what is in our best interest. We have to balance short-term benefit for long-term gain. And we have to assess how much benefit we want now and how much benefit we want later. Our brains are really rational machines. We operate on the best information that we have. We don't do this consciously, we do it subconsciously. We're constantly evaluating and weighing what is going to provide us the most benefit now and in the future. So how does this relate to eating disorders? Let's just say you have the option or the urge to binge. Okay. So you have that option, you have that urge, you have that craving, you're thinking about it, you're getting excited about it, you're looking forward to it. At this point, you still have an option. You have the option not to binge or to binge. The benefit is that you get an immediate rush of endorphins, that fat and that sugar and that salt. It's a method of sedation. You feel better right now, but you know what the long-term costs are. The thing is, you see the short-term benefit, but you don't see the long-term costs, or at least you discount them. You can always start tomorrow, today is okay, you still have time to recover, you still have time to fix this. We think that we're going to live forever, we're going to have all the time in the world to fix the problem later. This is why I call it a calculation error, because you're placing way too much emphasis on that short-term gain and not enough on the long-term consequences. That's why you find yourself going through an entire carton of ice cream or an entire package of cookies, because it benefits you now, but you don't see the long-term costs later. The thing is, you're already paying those long-term costs. You're paying for the costs of the decisions that you made many months ago, but you don't see that. You're just fixated on the short-term benefit that you're deriving from all of this food that you're having. The issue isn't that you have an addiction or a mental disorder or a disease. It's just you're putting way too much emphasis on the short-term gain and you're discounting the consequences in the future. It's really as simple as that. So when I say eating disorders are a choice, that doesn't sound like I have a lot of empathy. It's like, why would somebody choose this? Why would somebody do this themselves? For the reasons I just stated, because it provides an immediate reward, but the consequences are in the future. Sometimes people will say, how will I cope without an eating disorder? How will I cope without anorexia? How will I cope without binging and purging? What they're really saying is, what will I do without the pleasure? What will I do about those emotions? What will I do when I'm stressed? What will I do when I'm bored? I get it. You've been using this behavior as a crutch for so long, you can't imagine life without it. The thing is, there was a point in your life where you didn't do this. There was a point in your life where you were perfectly happy without flooding your body with a ton of food. You probably don't do drugs. Many of you don't do cigarettes. Many of you don't drink alcohol, or at least some of them, and you're perfectly fine. But to somebody who does drugs, somebody who drinks alcohol, somebody who does smoke, they're thinking, how do you cope without it? The thing is, coping, or you've been living life without those substances for so long. It's just how life is. To somebody with an eating disorder, it might seem impossible to live life without it. But trust me, your life will be much better without it. And I've explained in previous videos the many benefits of overcoming an ED. You don't need a ton of fat and sugar to flood. You don't need to flood your system with fat and sugar every day to live a happy, healthy, and fulfilled life. Trust me. I also hear the word hijack. My brain hijacked me. Nobody hijacked you. Nobody, no thought, no circumstance, no belief can make you do it. I don't like that word, make you. It sounds compulsory. It's not compulsory. It might seem appealing, it might seem logical, It might seem like a good reason to engage in that behavior, but it's not. Sometimes we confuse logic for fear, and I think a lot of times people with addictions and EDs don't want to overcome it because they fear life without it. They start asking questions like, how am I going to cope? What will I do? It's like the ED or the addiction becomes a part of their identity, and they can't imagine life without it. What are they going to do without that sedation? What are they going to do without that escape? What are they going to do without the distraction? This channel would not be possible without Essetino artists. If you want to start your own YouTube channel and start producing content, then check out the Creative Business Academy. There is a link below. Alright, back to the video. These are legitimate questions to ask, and it's hard to convey the many benefits of overcoming an addiction to somebody who's enmeshed in the addiction. Now, I have my own problems with the word addiction, which I will talk about in a future video, but that's the word that most people are using, so that's why I'm using it. The fact is, you never lose control, you choose to relinquish that control. It's the most expedient thing to do in that moment. You're doing it because it provides sedation and escape. You're doing it because it provides pleasure. It makes you feel good right now. And our brains overemphasize the immediate benefits of an action over the long-term consequences. After all, you might not survive another day, so who cares? Retraining your brain to emphasize long-term benefits and to look at long-term costs versus short-term benefits is going to take weeks, if not months. You can retrain your brain to do it, but it's not going to be an overnight process. It does take practice. So a lot of people with EDs think they need it. They think they have to do it. They think it's necessary for their survival. If they don't do it, what am I going to do with my life? What New Year's resolution am I going to make? I need some enemy to confront. I need some challenge in my life. Well, when that ED disappears, you have to think about other things and establish other goals and direct your attention to somewhere else. You don't have that enemy anymore. You have to do something else with your life. And when you have 4 or 5 hours to yourself, you can't fill it with fat and sugar anymore. You have to find other things to do. If you've made it this far in this video, here's what I challenge you to do. What I think you should do is start to examine the thoughts and the beliefs that are driving this behavior. What are you thinking before you do it? What are the logical reasons for you to do it? What is compelling you to do it? Remember, nothing or nobody is making you do it. Nobody hijacked your brain. You don't have a mental disorder. It's all on you. You're choosing this for a reason. What are you chasing? What reward are you seeking? We go out of our way to get all that food because there's a specific reward. Now ask yourself, is that reward worth it? Is it worth everything else in your life? I go into this in more detail and depth in my program. So that's my case. Eating disorders are a choice. They're not a mental disorder, they're not a disease, they're not a compulsive eating disorder, and they're sure as hell not an addiction. You are not addicted to food. You're not addicted to anything. You're just overvaluing the short-term benefits and you're discounting the long-term consequences. That's really all there is to it. You think your life is better with the ED than without it. And until you start to confront some of these thoughts and these beliefs, then it's going to be really hard to recover. But this is the first step. What are the beliefs that are driving this behavior? And start to challenge them. Hope you found this video educational and entertaining and maybe a bit controversial. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and check out some of my other videos. And don't forget to check out the resources in the description. If you liked this video, I'm sure you'll like one of the other videos that you see on the screen. Click one of them and I'll see you there.